why this pharaoh's DNA is so unique. Ever since Pharaoh Tutankhamun was first discovered in his tomb in 1922 by British archaeologist Howard Carter, the mystery of the late king's past has haunted historians for decades. Who were his parents? And what secrets were his unique DNA hiding? Now, the advance in DNA profiling has revealed the truth about the boy king's family ties, who he was, and what led to his unfortunate death at such a young age. Before we reveal all of this and more, comment below. What do you think really makes this pharaoh's DNA so unique? Unraveling the mystery of King Tut's life and death using his DNA. Unlike many other tombs, Tutankhamun had escaped the grave robbers who raided so many other ancient Egyptian burial sites. This is why historians were able to piece together the life of this mysterious ancestor who ascended to the throne at the tender age of 9 and died before reaching adulthood. The tomb itself was a treasure trove, filled with artifacts that revealed the pharaoh's life and death. 130 walking sticks were found among the funeral offerings, suggesting that Tutankhamun was frail and struggled with mobility issues throughout his life. Oh, and that's not even half of it. Pharmacies containing medicinal seeds, fruits, and leaves were discovered, hinting at the pharaoh's ongoing health problems. There were also 2 mummified fetuses, believed to be his daughters. These fetuses seemed to have suffered from lethal genetic defects, and it quickly raised questions about the pharaoh's health and the consequences of royal inbreeding. Soon enough, a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, popularly known as JAMA, pieced together all this information to reveal the life and death of Tutankhamun. You see, a team of scientists, led by Secretary General Zahi Hawass of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities and paleogeneticist Karsten Pusch from the University of Tübingen in Germany, embarked on a project to examine the Tutankhamun family mummies. The team examined 10 royal mummies, including the 2 fetuses, and compared them to 5 mummies that were thought to be unrelated. This control group allowed the scientists to distinguish between genetic traits that were unique to the Tutankhamun family and those that were more widespread in the ancient Egyptian population. The team used techniques commonly employed in criminal or paternity investigations to amplify 16 short tandem repeats and 8 polymorphic microsatellites, creating a genetic fingerprint of the ancient Egyptians. The team also searched for DNA sequences from the malaria pathogen, hoping to pinpoint what was behind the pharaoh's early death. The study was conducted in a state-of-the-art lab built into the basement of the Museum of Egyptian Antiquities in Cairo, 2 floors right below the famous golden mask of Tutankhamun. Little did they know that the ancient DNA of King Tutankhamun and his royal family held secrets they didn't expect. The dark secret of King Tut's family. As the researchers worked tirelessly in the lab, they made their first discovery. They were able to name several mummies who were previously anonymous, including Tut's grandmother, Tai, and Tut's father, the KV-55 mummy, probably named Akhenaten. Hawass praised this discovery as the most important discovery since finding of the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922. The team also identified the mummy likely to be Tut's mother as KV-35YL, not Queen Nefertiti as we once thought. This revelation led to further investigation, as Hawass noted that the mother of King Tut was likely one of the daughters of Amenhotep III and Tai. The embalming process used to preserve the royal remains worked in the researchers' favor because it preserved King Tut's genetic material. As the team collected more data, the museum specimens seemed to come back to life. Pusch remembered being overwhelmed by the sheer amount of work involved in analyzing 16 mummies. But the discovery of King Tut's family dynamics made it all worthwhile. Now here's where things get more interesting. The analysis of all 16 mummies ended up revealing a shocking truth about King Tut's parents. They were siblings. This practice of royal inbreeding might have continued in Tut's marriage, as rumors suggested that his wife was his sister or half-sister. Of course, this was actually common in royal families, who often married within the family to maintain power and wealth. But this practice had terrible consequences for the health and well-being of the pharaohs. The genetic analysis identified DNA from the malaria tropica pathogen, suggesting that Tut was struggling with infection. The team concluded that a sudden leg fracture might have led to a life-threatening condition when a malaria infection occurred. Remember the 130 walking sticks that were found in his tomb? They also proved that King Tut used to shoot arrows while sitting, as he couldn't stand on his own because he was weak. Push added that the pharaoh's family was plagued by malformations and infections that they suffered from pain, chills, and fevers. The study painted a picture of a young boy who was struggling to survive, rather than a proud pharaoh or strong leader. The project was the first of its kind in the field of molecular anthropology, or molecular Egyptology. Push was grateful to have been a part of it and mentioned that the experience was surreal. He visited the museum with his parents when he was 12 and couldn't believe that he was working with the original mummies 30 years later. The project had answered many questions, but raised many more. As the researchers looked to the future, they knew that there was still much to be learned from the ancient DNA of King Tut and his royal family. But what does King Tut's DNA mean to humans in this century? King Tut's surprising legacy and a supposed genetic link to modern Europeans. Well, you won't believe that there's a theory that many people are related to King Tutankhamun. You might think it's unlikely, but geneticists in Switzerland have discovered that up to 70% of British men and half of all Western European men are actually related to the boy pharaoh. This astonishing find was made possible when one company, Igena, claimed they reconstructed King Tut's paternal haplogroup based on televised footage, which revealed that he belonged to a genetic group known as haplogroup R1b1a2. This genetic group is surprisingly common in Western Europe, with more than 50% of men belonging to it. It's estimated that around 70% of Spanish men and 60% of French men are also part of this group, sharing a common ancestor with King Tut. But that's not even the most shocking part of it all. What's even more surprising is that this haplogroup is almost non-existent in modern-day Egyptians, with less than 1% of them belonging to it. If this is true, how did King Tut's paternal lineage likely move from Egypt, its region of origin, to Europe? According to the geneticists in Switzerland, the common ancestor of King Tut and these European men lived in the Caucasus region around 9,500 years ago. They believe that the earliest migration of this haplogroup into Europe began with the spread of agriculture around 7000 BC. But the exact route that King Tut's paternal lineage took to get there is still a mystery. While all of this is very thought-provoking, not everyone is convinced by this research. In fact, some scientists who worked on decoding King Tut's genome have questioned the claim, outrightly calling it unscientific and simply impossible. Push and his colleagues published some of their results in the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2010. But they didn't publish the full genetic data that would allow companies like Igena to link modern people to the Tutankhamun lineage. Why? Well, here's the reason. The Y chromosome is a special part of our DNA that is found only in males, and it can be used to trace a person's male lineage. Push's team used snippets of Y chromosomes DNA to link Tut to his closest relatives, identifying his mom and dad. But they didn't publish the full genetic data because they wanted to protect the integrity of their research. Although it's true that R1b is common in Western Europe and rare in modern Egyptians, we don't know if Tutankhamun actually had R1b, and that remains speculative due to the lack of verified full Y DNA publication. Igena claimed that they had access to this data, and they're using it to sell their DNA testing kits, but advises people who are hoping to prove that they've got an ancestor in common with the boy king to take Igena's claims with a grain of salt. And he thinks that Igena is trying to capitalize on the media attention surrounding King Tut. What could possibly be the real truth? Well, no one has an answer to this yet. Researchers who conducted the original study have publicly denied that the necessary data was ever published. Thanks to GAMA, we now know that Tutankhamun's DNA has reshaped our understanding of ancient Egyptian royal lineage and the health challenges he faced. As scientists continue to analyze his DNA, we hope the confusion of European men's connection to him can finally be solved. And who knows? We might find even more surprising connections between ancient civilizations and modern-day populations. To be kept in the loop on this, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next videos on ancient DNA, history, generics, and your ancestry.
Done.